So we can start by reviewing, right? So reviewing everything that we already did, and maybe we'll learn a little more today. So it's our 4th out of 5th class. So we have one more class after this. So let's start with our etnachta phrases. Reminder, what is etnachta like in punctuation?
It's a comma.
Semicolon, but yeah, like same idea. Semicolon or a comma. So, how does it go? We go. Mercha, tipcha, munach, etnachta. Let's try that again, everybody. You ready? Mercha, tipcha, munach, etnachta. Very good. Next one. So the tipcha, it helps sort of when you just do like tipcha. You can't see it? Oh, sorry.
I'll move backwards.
Can you see better?
Yeah, either that or just
Okay.
tilt it a little.
So the tipcha, it sort of helps when it has its own sound. So we go tipcha, try it. Tipcha, munach, etnachta, and the munach is like steps down. Munach, etnachta. Good. Let's try the top one again. You ready? Mercha, tipcha, munach, etnachta. Good. By yourself. First line. Good. Next one. Very good. Very good. Very good. Now, so I hear, so the tipchas I hear are different, but that's okay. It's totally okay. I'm hearing tipcha, right? That's actually how I do it when I read Torah. So you don't have to go tipcha. That's just one way of doing it. It's one way of doing it, but you could also just go tipcha, munach, etnachta. Just as long as you remember that that's basically what it sounds like. Again, trope sounds a little different depending on who's doing it. Everyone does it a little differently.
I think it also makes a difference how fast you're reading it.
It does, right.
Because when you're reading it fast, you don't have as much time to make as many
Exactly.
sounds.
Like that's, I read Torah fast. I'm not going to go tipcha.
Right.
It's hard to, right? It's easy to just go, na 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 na. Half the time I actually skip like munach, katon, and I just go, Mapach, pashta, katon. I sort of skip the munach because I'm just going fast. So these things, it's oral tradition. It's really just the shape that we're looking for. It doesn't have to be exact. So, okay, just do that first phrase again by yourself. Beautiful. You know this, okay? Next one. So, pasuk. What is this like in punctuation? What is it? Period. Very good. Let's try it. Ready? Mercha, tipcha, mercha, sof pasuk. Good. By yourself. Mercha, tipcha, mercha, sof pasuk. Yeah. So sof pasuk. Now that I'm going to be strict about. So some people go sof pasuk or whatever, or sof pasuk. It doesn't really matter as long as it sounds like a final, sounds like a period. So pasuk. And another thing that I was hearing is that the mercha, sometimes most of the time, people get confused by that second mercha, and it sounds different. It sounds just like the first one. So listen. Mercha. So here I'm doing mercha, tipcha, mercha. You hear it's the exact same thing, right? Mercha, tipcha, mercha, sof pasuk. Good, so let's try it again. You ready? Mercha, tipcha, mercha, sof pasuk. Paste it. That's exactly what it sounds like. Next one. Tipcha, mercha, sof pasuk. Right, so tipcha, or tipcha, mercha, sof pasuk. Try it again. Wait, we're on tipcha. You ready? Yeah, second line. 1, 2, 3. Tipcha.
Can you go over that tipcha?
Yes, and what I'm hearing, which is what everyone does, is that it's hard to do this, right? It's hard to do tipcha, mercha. They switch it.
Backwards.
Yes. So sometimes you have to think in your head, Tipcha, mercha, sof pasuk. Sometimes you need to hear that mercha in your head until you get used to it. So here. Tipcha, mercha, sof pasuk.
So really, what is the difference? You're going up?
So what's the difference between a mercha and a tipcha, right?
Tipcha has two sounds.
Well, well, mercha is two also. But listen for a second. Mercha, tipcha. You see what my hands are doing? Mercha, tipcha. And by the way, they fit together, right? They sound like they belong together. Mercha, tipcha. Mercha. Yeah. So they follow each other.
Okay.
Mercha, tipcha, mercha, sof pasuk.
So is there always a word, so to speak, that goes with the three sounds, or?
There's pretty much a word that goes with each trope symbol.
Okay.
So we did this in the beginning, right? Nancy went to... wait, hold on. We are on sof pasuk. Nancy bought a raisin bagel, right? So not the insignificant words tend to be mushed into, but the significant words each have a trope. Nancy bought a raisin bagel, right? So here, you would never have a bagel because it's just an insignificant word, but a raisin bagel, that's significant, right? Nancy bought a raisin bagel. Nancy loves bagels, right? So, sorry. So, you see what I'm saying? So it's
Say that again. That one.
this one.
Yep.
Nancy loves bagels. Now here, look. Now the word loves is one syllable. So there was actually no da-da, right? Mercha. I just did cha, right? So, and that's sort of an intuitive thing you just need to know when you have too few syllables for the trope or too many syllables for the trope. Does that make sense? It's a little bit of a complicated, you need to sort of see it, right?
Well, that's why I asked, because
yes.
sometimes you can't go up and down.
So, right. So then, in this case, Nancy loves, right? It's just one syllable. And you just don't sing all those notes. Because remember, the trope, the individual notes are not that important. It's the shape. And it makes sense. Doesn't it make sense to you?
It does,
Nancy
but it's very sing-songy.
loves bagels.
It's very sing-songy. It goes together.
Yeah, it's sing-songy, and it makes sense. Like the punctuation makes sense. The shape of the sentence. That's what it does. It shapes the sentence in a musical way. It sounds right.
Yeah,
to you,
I just
right?
was wondering
If
if it always fits or you just kind of make it fit.
So if the words always fit with the trope.
Yes.
You make it.
So, okay, sometimes, let's see if there's one in here. Sometimes, okay, so look at the third to last line. It's just one example, okay? Or even the second word, okay? The second word, okay? I'm just going to show the online people, right? This is the very second word. And
No reason.
by the way, when I see two words that are hyphenated, I consider that one word. So the second word, what is it?
V'nei Yaakov.
V'nei Yaakov, right? So it's a lot of syllables. It's a hyphenated word. It's a lot of syllables. So Vaya'anu v'nei Yaakov. You have to sort of smush more syllables into. That's not the best example because the trope actually gives you a lot of room. But here, look at number 15. Look at verse 15. Okay. Verse 15. What do you have? First word of verse 15.
Ach.
It's one word. So ach what?
Ach bezot.
Okay. So ach bezot. That's three syllables. And you have to go ach bezot, right? Ach bezot. You have to smush more syllables, right? Ach bezot.
So it's really how you end the word.
No, you're saying the syllables that don't have a trope with it.
Right.
And you're singing with the trope, the one that has the trope. It
Right,
doesn't
that's-
matter how many syllables there are. That's what she's
You guys are
doing when she's
confusing me.
squishing it together. She, you know.
Basically, the trope symbol, one of the things that the trope symbol tells you is where to emphasize the word, right? Where is the accent of the word,
Okay.
okay? And that's all that's important. So you wouldn't go, ach bezot, right?
I'm going to turn the phone off. I'm in trope.
This is going to be.
Thank you.
I know. Now every time you watch online, you're gonna
Reach for your
And-
phone.
you're gonna think your phone's right.
I do that. I do that
You're
with
gonna see
the,
that.
I did that with the first one. Now it'll happen again.
So the only important thing right here, when you look at the word and the trope, and this is we're getting a little too in depth, I would say probably, but the important thing is where the emphasis of the word is, right? Ilana, right? It's on the A, right? Ilana, right? So ach bezot. Nothing else really matters. You just smush the rest into it. Ach bezot.
Okay.
Zot, that's where the trope is. That's the emphasis of the word.
Okay.
Okay? And that is important to know because sometimes the emphasis isn't what you think it's going to be, and you need to look to see where the trope is. Okay. So now let's go back to this and try to sing these sof pasuk phrases. You ready?
Mercha tipra, mercha sof pasuk.
Thank you. That was perfect.
Tipra, mercha sof pasuk.
Perfect. Up, mercha.
Mercha tipra, sof pasuk.
Wait. So I heard a little et nachta there. Et nachta, right? We want to make sure we go sof pasuk. Do it again.
Mercha tipra, sof pasuk.
Right? Sof pasuk. Good. Tipra.
Tipra, sof pasuk.
Perfect. Katon phrases. My basketball players love this one because of the hand motion. You ready? Mapach pashai. 1, 2, 3. Mapach pashta munach katon. By yourself. Mapach pashta munach katon. Very good. Next one. Very good. 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 Very good. And so here's an example of the trope simply being a shape, right? I'm hearing a little bit of mapach pashta munach katon, right? That is okay. Like I do munach katon, but it's okay to go munach katon. That's what I do often when I'm reading Torah because I'm just going fast, and it's the same shape. It's leading you to the right trope, so that's fine. Okay. Sometimes instinctively we just do that.
You don't do it when you have munach.
That one's different.
That one you can't do.
And that was very good, by the way. Someone's studying. So you ready? Well, let's go. Let's do it once more from the top. Okay, ready? Mapach pashta munach katon. Good. Pashta munach katon. Good. Munach katon. My fault. Mapach pashta katon. Good. Pashta katon. Very good.
Thank you, Joel, for helping me
Now-
because I'm watching you going up your hand. I'm trying to get the. Am I
No, I
getting you
can't.
going?
That
No, you're
mixes
doing
me
it.
up.
Yeah.
I can't
I'm
look at that.
trying
If you hold the yad and you do the hand motion.
Oh, yeah, I
it's
know.
really interesting.
I've had kids who reached B'nai Mitzvah and they just wanted to do it with their. Like, no, you don't do it with your hands at your bar mitzvah. When you're actually reading Torah, you don't need to do that.
But
So,
then you might get the whole congregation to
yeah, right?
For me,
So-
that's having to learn something else besides.
Right. Some people, it just makes it so
That's
much easier.
overwhelming
Some
for me.
people too much. I don't feel like tipping this over, but just use your imagination. Kadma, it looks like a pashta, but it's in the middle or wherever the emphasis is. Whereas pashta is
Always at the end.
always at the end. Very good. So trope as a rule, trope symbols are always where the emphasis of the word is, except some, because then it would just be too easy. So some of them are always at the end, always at the beginning. So kadma looks just like a pashta, but it's wherever the emphasis is. So it goes like this. Kadma mapach pashta munach katon. That was a little out of tune. I'll fix it. Kadma, you ready? Kadma mapach pashta munach katon. Now this one. Kadma mapach pashta katon. I think we're good for kadma. Okay. So now Rivi'i phrases, right? Rivi'i, and my Cohen Hillel 5th grade Hebrew teacher reminded everyone Rivi'i. What does Rivi'i mean? Four, right? Fourth. So I'm not really sure why. Maybe a diamond has 4 sides. I'm not really sure why it's called Rivi'i, or maybe it goes Rivi 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe that's why Rivi'i. I'm not really sure why it's called that, but
V'yazlav, almost always with kadma.
yes. Sometimes you have it without a kadma before it. Some people would call it a different name, but sounds the same.
'Cause
Okay.
It goes together.
Yeah.
I mean,
But you
it's-
do sometimes have yad da 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 da. You do sometimes have it without the kadma, but rare. They usually go together, and they totally sound
They
like
sound
they
like
go
they go
together.
together.
Yeah. So let's try it. Ready? And my ballerinas love this one. Kadma v'yazlav munach rivi'i. Good. By yourself. Kadma v'yazlav. So the munach, and this one I do want to be a little strict about because it leads you into the Rivi'i nicely. Munach, very good. Try it again. Munach Rivi'i. Good. Kadma Rivi'i. Good. Good. Now this one sounds different. How does it go? Yes. Yes. Munach. Try it again. Munach. Again. Munach. Rivi'i. Good. So, and how do we know when we do that, right? We have munach,
with a line,
psik,
whatever
with
you
a
call it.
line. It's called a psik, which means to stop. Munach, Rivi'i. Only in that context. I think this past Shabbat I had something like this. I had munach, psik, Rivi'i. So how do you do that? Anybody know how that goes? So I would actually do it. I would say it doesn't count as this. So I would actually I count the psik as just a psik, and I go munach, Rivi'i.
Really? So
Yes.
you don't sing it unless there are 2 of them.
Yes. I'm sure someone disagrees with me somewhere. I'm sure, but that's how I do it. That's how I think I was taught. It's a long time, so I forget. But that's how I do it. So if I have this, I treat this as just a regular psik. Sometimes you have a psik here. Kadma v'yazla munach Rivi'i. So
So you say that that's more than a period.
a psik is more than a period. A psik is like just
Stop
some
sign.
random stop.
It's a stop sign.
Yeah, it's a stop sign. And I'm not really sure. I should do a little research on it and see. I'm not really sure the purpose of the psik. Grammatically, it may have some purpose. In terms of the plot, in terms of what's happening. Speaking of trope that has purpose in the plot, does anybody know what trope we read this very unusual trope this Shabbat? Because none of you were in the Torah service, but you have another chance because it's going to happen again on Chaye Sarah this coming Shabbat. Okay, so try to be in the Torah. So it's Jason Glass. It's someone's bar mitzvah. I'll edit that out.
Doesn't make any
Still,
problem.
I don't want to put a kid's name. It's a kid's bar mitzvah, and there's this trope. It's called shalshelet, and which means chain. It happens 4 times in the entire Torah, and unlike most trope symbols, it's not about punctuation. It actually is tied to the plot. So the word that it was on this week was vayitmama, right? Which means he hesitated. It's always a place of hesitation, and it goes like this: shalshelet.
Wow.
It happens 4 times in the whole Torah.
That's so pretty.
I
It's
feel
cool, right?
Yeah, but I feel badly for the person who has to.
Yeah, right. So our bar mitzvah kid this week. Last night we had a mincha, and she did it, and then we have another bar mitzvah kid this week. He's going to do it, and it's pretty cool. I actually taught my Cohen Hillel 5th graders shalshelet because it was coming up, and they were so excited.
What's
They-
the word in this coming?
I forget.
But
But yeah, it's always a place of hesitation. It happens also when Joseph is like tempted to sleep with Potiphar's wife. He's like, should I, shouldn't I?
Oh.
You know, and it's again a shalshelet, you know.
Wow.
So listen for it.
is she going to be singing it?
The bar mitzvah this week is going to, yeah.
She's gonna sing
Yeah,
it. Good for her.
So yeah.
It's a special
Yeah.
thing for her.
But the bar mitzvah kids, like, they just sort of like, you know. They don't embrace it the way I'd like them to, but it's pretty cool. It's very cool. So we got to that because I wasn't sure if the psik might have something to do with the plot. I'm not sure. I have to check on that. So let's try this one again. You ready? Muna, rivi. Good. Do we want to go over this page again, or do you guys feel comfortable?
Go over it again. Never heard it.
Okay. Faith is saying she's good, so that's pretty impressive. You've been practicing.
Can you do it yourself, the first line?
Sure. Kadma v'yazla munach rivi'i.
You have to have a good voice for this.
No.
Makes it
It's
sound
chanting.
easy.
It's chanting, not singing, and I try to really say that it's not singing, you know. Yeah. Let's try it again. You ready? Kadma v'yazla munach rivi'i. Good. Kadma v'yazla rivi'i. Good. Munach rivi'i. Good. Munach rivi'i. Good. Moving on. Okay. Now we have our talk to the hand, Dargah, which my kids love. Okay. So Dargah and Tavir. So it goes like this. Did we do this yet?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we did.
Dargah, Tavir. Try it again. Dargah, Tavir. Mercha, Tavir. Mercha, Tavir. Now Mercha starts and ends on the same note. Okay. Mercha. Try it. Mercha, Tavir. Do it again. Mercha, Tavir. Good. Tavir. Good. By yourself from Dargah. Dargah. Come on, Dargah. Try it. Dargah. Tavir. Good. Mercha. Good. So yeah, Dargah goes Dargah. Try it. Dargah. Tavir. Good. Mercha. Tavir. And by the way, Tavir is what we use when we say Amen before we read an Aliyah. We say Amen to the bracha, right? So it's notena Torah, and everyone goes amen. And the Torah reader traditionally goes amen, right? Tivir. And it's really, it just gets us into the trope, you know? Yeah. Amen. And so on and so forth. I think we're good on this. Should we do it once more?
Yeah, the Dargah.
Dargah. Dargah. Tivir. The whole page again. Good. Feels good? Yeah? Yeah? All right. Is this new?
We did it last week.
We did do it last week? Okay.
Not well. I mean, I can't
No,
remember.
yeah, you can't remember. Okay, good.
We did.
So, Zakef Gadol, we've got a line and 2 dots next to it, okay? Zakef Gadol. Okay? So, Zakef Gadol. Again. Zakef Gadol. By yourself. Yeah, and if you can do the little thing on the top, if you can. Zakef Gadol. Try it.
Zakef Gadol.
Good. Yeah, it's like one of these funny things, right? It's not this Western sound. It's Zakef Gadol. Try it.
Zakef Gadol.
Yeah, and you're ending on the right note, which is nice. Zakef Gadol. If this were Western music, you'd end there, right? On the
Right.
one. But it's not. It's not Western. It's trope. It's an Eastern tradition. It's not, you know. So you might have learned it a little differently. So if you had previously learned it a little differently, it's confusing, feel free to do it. Again, it's just a shape. It's just a shape, okay? That's Dargah. But that was a very good Dargah. Very good Dargah. Zakef Gadol. Try it again. Zakef Gadol. Again. Zakef Gadol. Good. Yes?
Would you do the notes like that?
Sure. Zakef Gadol.
How many notes were there?
That's quite
Zakef Gadol. So after
That's
the
a
little
lot of
lilt,
notes.
it's just 2. Zakef Gadol. 1, 2. Right? Zakef Gadol. Again. Zakef Gadol.
Gotta go up.
Yeah, try it again.
Zakef Gadol.
Sounds good to me. Sounds very good to me. And then Gershaim means, in modern Hebrew, it means quotation marks, right? Which is what it looks like. And Gershaim is another weird one. It goes, Gershaim. Try it. Gershaim. Again. Gershaim. Yeah, so it goes to this higher note and it ends there, right? Gershaim. Again.
Gershaim.
Sounds good. Let's try Zakef Gadol again. You ready? Zakef Gadol. Again by yourself.
Zakef
Gadol.
Good. Yeah, there's some funny stuff in there. Let's try it once more.
Zakef Gadol.
That was perfect. And then Gershaim. Gershaim. Again.
Gershaim.
Again.
Gershaim.
I'm hearing a lot of funny stuff. Hold on one second. But again, and I'm being really picky, but remember, it's just, if any of you did what, you've all done a little, slightly different Gershaims, but if you did that like that, reading Torah by yourself, it actually would be totally okay. Because you got the shape right, and that's what's important. But because we're all doing it together, I'm just being like a stickler, okay? So, Gershaim, try it. Gershaim, again. Gershaim, again. Gershaim. Perfect. And what we're doing by repeating it is we're just getting in your muscle memory, right? Right now you still have to think about it. Soon, with lots of practice, it's just going to become part of your muscle memory. I don't have to think when I do this anymore.
Do the
Gershayim again. Gershayim again. Gershayim.
Okay.
There you go.
Gershayim.
There you go. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Did we do Yativ? We did because it's in our Torah. Okay. The hand motion I have for Yativ is like the Pulp Fiction. My kids loved it. Yativ.
You're not
Right?
much older than they are.
I'm watching too many movies, Lana.
So they loved it. Yativ. Now, remember we had this discussion last week. You learned it a little differently. You just get Yativ, right? And that's fine too. But I'm teaching it this way. You can do it that way, or you can just shout it out like some people do. So that's fine. Okay, you ready? Yativ munach katon. Let's try it again. Yativ munach katon. Again.
Yativ munach katon.
Good. Yativ katon. Again. Yativ katon. Any questions about that one?
Yeah, how do you say Yativ?
Yativ.
Yativ.
Good. Good. No. It's good. Everybody. Yativ. Nancy Goldberg. Okay. So for anonymity.
Okay.
Oh, for the computer.
No one knows who.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
true.
So Yativ. Try it.
Yativ.
Munach katon. Again. Yativ. Munach katon. By yourself.
Yativ. Munach katon.
You have it. You have Yativ katon.
Yativ katon.
Very good. Very good. Yativ. Yativ.
Yativ.
Good. This is new stuff.
Call them the lollipops.
The lollipops. That's true. They do look like. Now this is how I remember these guys. So Tilisha Ketana and Tilisha Gedola. That's what they're called. What's Ketana mean?
Small.
Small. What's Gedola?
Big.
Big. So the way I remember them is that if you add like a little line here, it looks like a less than sign.
A what sign?
A less than sign in math, in like, whatever, 5th grade math. So, and then this one, if you add a little one here, it looks like a greater than sign. So that's how I remember
less
it.
than.
Yeah,
I didn't understand. Oh, okay.
So here's less than sign, Tilisha Ketana. And here's a greater than sign, Tilisha Gedola. Okay? So these are more with lots of notes in them. So I apologize in advance. Goes like this. Munach. Notice munach sounds different. Munach. And it's important to get it because it sets you up for the next trope. So munach.
Munach.
Good. Tilisha ketana. Tilisha ketana. Some people do ketana.
That's how I learned it.
That's fine. Either way.
Katana. Yeah,
Ketana. Let's do that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Munach. Tilisha ketana.
What's the sign of the year?
I've been doing just like a little thing like this.
Okay.
Munach. Tilisha ketana.
I'll tell you how I learned it.
Yeah?
You don't have to do it.
Okay.
Tilisha Katana.
Oh.
Then he did Tilisha Gadola. Well, I can't do it now. Too sad.
It's okay.
But that's how.
You might have.
entirely
Tilisha
different.
ketana sounds more like a
Tilisha
gedola.
Katana.
I think that's Kadma V'Azla.
I don't know. It was very close.
We should ask Cantor Emil.
I've got the tape.
Well,
I'll
either
go
way,
home and listen. I'll go home and listen.
I mean,
to
you
this
may
tape.
not want to. That might be more confusing.
Yeah, it might mix me up.
Yeah, it might be more confusing.
Yeah.
So yeah. But so Tlisha Ketana, and it's also a fairly small. If you think about it musically, the notes it takes a very small Tlisha Ketana, right? Then Tlisha Gedola sounds like this. Munach Tlisha Gedola, right? So it's this bigger sound. That's also how I remember the small versus the big, okay? So let's try Tlisha Ketana. Tlisha Ketana. Again. Tlisha Ketana. Again. Tlisha Ketana. Now I do Munach. Sorry, hold on, I messed up myself. Munach. Try again. Munach. Tlisha Ketana. Very good. Now next one goes like this. Munach Tlisha Gedola. I see the eyes. Tlisha Gedola. You're actually doing it well.
How many? On the Gadola.
You are. On the
Your hands.
Tlisha Gedo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. So what I'm singing it in is the scale degrees. If you think of does anybody know piano? Does anybody play piano a little bit?
Yeah.
So if you think of like the notes on a piano of the five notes, major triad, right? 1, 3, 5, 3, 1. 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, right? So we do Tlisha Gedola. We're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. What note do we skip?
Okay.
4. Tlisha Gedo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Let's try it with the numbers. Yeah, it's helpful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. Very good. Now Tlisha Gedola. Tlisha Gedola. It's not nearly as difficult as it first sounds. You guys just did it perfectly. Let's try it again.
I like to see it.
Yep. Tlisha Gedola. From Munach. Munach. Tlisha Gedola. Good. Ketana. Munach. Tlisha Ketana.
Okay. So
Let's do that again. Munach. Tlisha Ketana. Good. Now Gedola. Munach. Tlisha Gedola. Very good.
Give me the scale for the katana.
Yes. 3, 2. Munach is 1,
I don't care
3,
about the
2, 1. So we go 1, 7, 1, 2, 5. I think 5, 1. 1, 7, 5, 2. Sorry, say that. 1, 7, 1, 2, 5.
One, you went below.
Yes, it goes below
one.
the scale. 1, 7, 1, 2, 5, I believe. Let's find out.
If you haven't done it,
Yeah.
give me, what notes did you play?
I did, so I did Munach.
No, not the Munach,
Okay.
just
So
the,
I'm in C, okay?
Yeah.
C, B, C, D, G.
okay.
And that's exactly what it is. 1, 7, 1, 2, 5. C, B, C, D, G. Now you're going to hate me on Pazer. I'm just warning you. You're going to hate me.
I like you so far.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, just wait till Pazer. So Pazer is not that hard. Woohoo! Sort of, yeah. I mean,
Oh, that's the
so
way I learned
again, it's the right shape, absolutely. So it is absolutely correct. I may do it a little
Just
bit,
different.
only slightly. All right. So pazer, the way I teach it, it's the same as Tlisha Gadola, but it goes up one more step. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So munach pazer.
Oh, I think there was one extra. I don't know. It was
That's
close.
fine.
Very
So
close.
munach pazer. So don't forget that top note. That makes it a pazer. You ready? Pazer. Again. Pazer. Munach. Munach. Pazer. By yourself. Munach. There. That's what I do. It's pretty. It's a nice. So the shalshelet that I talked about, that's 3 pazers in a row. Should you ever want to do a shalshelet, it's 3 pazers in a row.
Oh.
Shalshelet. So it's 3 pazers with a little ending.
We'll let you do it.
That's nice.
I think I
So,
can guess them in here, right? So let me back in.
Let's. Right. There's one more, but no
Somebody
problem.
else come back. I'll be right back.
No problem. So, what do you guys want to do? There's one more. Should we do that one more sheet, or should we
Well, we don't have Michael.
do this?
We don't have someone else to start here.
Okay.
Let me just-
Well, we're gonna review anyway. But have you had too much new trope?
No, go for it.
Should we just do the last one, and then we could just try to
But that
sing
isn't-
through this a little bit?
That's been like going down. That's not as hard as these.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are hard. These 3 in a row are hard.
They are hard. Yeah.
The next one isn't
And
as hard.
so the next one, I don't know. I always think this is pretty hard. The segol. So segol, this opposite, right? That's the segol. That's the vowel segol.
I usually call it the triangle when I teach.
Right, right. So, okay. This is how I do this. Everyone probably does it a little different, but it has the same shape, right?
Confuse me more.
No, it's the same shape. Okay, so munach. Now we're on the same note. Zarka. Okay, slightly different. It's similar to a revi'i in a way, but it's in a different place. Well, you could do it however you'd like. Okay. So, munach zarka. Try it. Munach zarka. It's not so hard because it's really just like a little waterfall. Just the notes just sort of go like that. Munach zarka. Then it goes munach segol, or some people might go segol, something like that. Okay.
How do you say it?
I do munach segol. Okay. So munach zarka. Munach segol. Let's try it. Munach zarka. Munach segol. Let's try it again. Munach zarka. Munach segol. Let's try this one. Zarka. Munach segol. Good. Munach zarka. Segol. Good. Zarka. Segol. So once you get into it, it's actually not so hard.
Yours is prettier.
It's pretty, and
Yours is prettier.
okay, but it's fine. It's not so hard.
That was his.
Same shape.
Yeah.
Same shape.
I felt like I was going down a slide.
And this is more like a,
Yours
you
is,
know.
yours is prettier. His
Yeah.
is easier.
but either way, yeah, it's the same idea. It's just this one, it sort of is like a little waterfall.
The hard thing about
Zarka. That's it. So let's try the whole page again. You ready? Munaf Zarka. Munaf Segol. Zarka. Munaf Segol. Munaf Zarka. Segol. Zarka. Segol. That's it. So of course we're going to go over this next week. In fact, maybe next week we should actually start from the end and make our way back to the beginning because we've had a lot of practice with Merchati Pra. We don't have much time, but I feel like we should just go through this once. Okay? So let's just go through our Torah once. And let's see if we could just do it. Let's see if we remember it. Okay? So, do we remember how the first one goes? Vaya'anu v'nei Yaakov et Shechem ve'et Chamor aviv b'mirma vaydaberu. Make sure you say vaydaberu. Vaydaberu. Good. Asher timeh et dina achotam. Good. Vayomeru alehem lo nuchal la'asot hadavar hazeh latet et achotenu leish asher lo or la. So no, let's try that again. Leish asher lo or la. Hold on 1 second. So you see how asher lo, we have to smush, right? Asher lo, right? Going back to our conversation at the beginning. So leish asher lo or la. Very good. Yep. Ki cherpa hi lanu. Good. Ach bezot neot lachem. Im. Let's try that again. Im tihiu chamonu. Good. Lehimol lachem kol zachar. Good. V'natanu et benoteinu lachem. Ve'et benoteichem. Sorry, I messed up. Ve'et benoteichem. And you see how we have to smush the syllables in there? Okay. Sorry, I'm messing up here. Perfect, Jerry. It's good. Ve'et benoteichem nikach lanu ve'yashavnu itechem ve'hayinu le'am echad ve'im lo tishme'u eleinu lehimol ve'lakachnu et biteinu ve'halachnu. Let's do the end again. Ve'lakachnu et biteinu ve'halachnu. That was good. How did that feel? We literally just read it. We sang it outright.
When people go to the Torah to do this, do they bring I've seen people come with their own sheets because they can't read from the Torah if there's
But
no.
when they do the Haftorah,
So here's my response to that.
Yeah.
So sometimes, first of all, whenever reading Torah, because there's no vowels, there's no trope, it's difficult, right? It's difficult to memorize all that. So according to tradition, we always have what's called a gabbai, right?
Right.
Two of them, right? We always have
Yes.
people up there who are looking
Right.
at this in order to cue people. And in different traditions and in different shuls, there's different ways of doing it. I've seen some people cueing people with hand motions, Okay. There is, by the way, the hand motion thing. That's not a new thing. It's actually a very, 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 very old tradition. Okay, very old tradition of using hand motions actually to cue the Torah reader.
Are you using your own or ones that are universal?
I'm using ones that I learned from a
Okay.
friend and colleague, and then I made up some of my own.
Okay.
So it's a
okay,
mishmash.
gotcha.
It's a mishmash.
It's not a universal thing.
No, it's not universal. Everyone does them a
Okay,
little
gotcha.
differently. Yeah. And we just do it as a learning device, but it's a very old tradition. And actually, in the Italian synagogue in Jerusalem, I saw people, the guy who's reading Torah, there's someone doing, and even there were times when I had to read Torah, and Rabbi B would just do that every time there was a sof pasuk, just to let me know. So when you're reading a lot of Torah, sometimes you don't have an opportunity to practice that much, to memorize all of it. That's when you've got people who are really like helping you, just to let you know when there's a sof pasuk, or they're helping you with some of the trope. Usually, if you're pretty good at Hebrew, you know the Hebrew for the most part, So now in our shul, right, Sherm stands there with with a nice big one that I give him, and he points to the words, and I do a little what we call in the cantorial world ping-ponging,
Wow.
It's not ideal. I wish I didn't have to, but it's just because I have to do
Isn't it
so
nice it's
much
there?
of it.
Yeah.
And it's just faster for me to look at that than to have him feed me the words, But the tradition of someone feeding you the words or helping you is something that's done everywhere. It's best when the Torah reader really knows the Torah reading very, very well. So what I tell people when they're b'nai mitzvah or when they're just new at Torah reading is to basically memorize it. That's what I pretty much have to do when I want to read it.
Is that what
Straight
Diane
from the
Levin
Torah.
does?
Yes.
You can't
She does. She memorizes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't compare anybody to Diane.
but here's the thing. So you don't just memorize it period by rote. I mean, you'd basically spend a lot of time. What I would do when I read Torah,
Yes.
like this, right? I have it, and I'd go, Vaya'anu v'nei Yaakov, Vaya'anu v'nei Yaakov, Et Shechem ve'et Chamor Aviv, Et Shechem ve'et Chamor Aviv, and I go back and forth, and I drill myself.
But that's because you're familiar with it all. When we're green, we can.
So when people are green, what I recommend is that they learn it so well from the side with the vowels and the trope that it becomes like a song that they know, that they've practically memorized. And then when you try it on the Torah side, let's try it. You ready? Vaya'anu b'nei Yaakov et Shechem ve'et Chamor Aviv b'mirma vaydaberu asher timeh. I'm not sure. I'm
It could be tameh.
I'm
no?
looking. It could be, but it's timeh because I just cheated. Asher timeh et dina achotam. Now I'm cheating again. Vayomeru alehem lo nuchal la'asot hadavar hazeh latet et achotenu leish asher lo or la ki cherpa hi lanu.
Why is it he and not who?
Because we've learned that it's he. I know it looks like who,
oh.
but it's he. And now I'm cheating again. Okay. Ach bezot neot lachem. I'm cheating. Oh, tivir. I mean, not tivir. Yativ. Im tihiyu chamonu lehimol lachem kol zachar. I'm cheating again. Venatanu et benotenu lachem ve'et benotechem nikach lanu. I'm cheating again. V'yashavnu itechem v'hayinu la'am echad. Hold on, I'm not sure if that was right. I'm cheating. Oh, that was sof pasuk. V'hayinu la'am echad. I'm cheating again. See how much I have to cheat right now? Ve'im lo tishme'u eleinu okay, so that was an et nachta. So we're on the very last verse. Ve'im lo tishme'u eleinu lehimol velakachnu et bitenu vehalachnu. So I told you every time I cheated, okay? And that was a few times, right? So, but for the most part, we actually knew most of it on the left side. So it means that you have to practice a little more, right? And notice we knew the end less well than the beginning.
Yes.
And that's usually the case. So then what I do then is that I practice the end more, right? I'll take the second half of the aliyah and I'll practice that, the second half of the aliyah. And then I sew it together with the first half, you know? Then I practice it from the beginning. But that's how we do it. It just takes a lot of practice. Sometimes I record myself and I listen to myself just to get it in my brain.
That's a good thing.
You know, because that's
I'm gonna
another way to
have
get
to-
it.
But you have to make sure you know what you're
Joe,
recording.
You can keep that.
Yeah, which you guys do.
Yeah, I need my
Okay,
first
so-
one, but you
so
can keep
The
it.
Torah
everybody.
itself,
Yes.
I just